arrest of senior police officers deepens the integrity crisis within the SAPS. Crime intelligence boss Dumisani Khumalo and several of his colleagues appeared in court on corruption-related charges. Meanwhile, News 24 is reporting that police boss General Fani Masemola has also been arrested. Deepen Kas from Public Interest South Africa joins us to discuss this further. A very good morning to you, Mr. Kas, and thank you for joining us in studio today.
Good morning, and thank you for having me, Kendall.
Mr. Kas, you state that this signals a deepening in the integrity crisis, right? But you also say that it also signals something, also hope for accountability. What do you mean by that?
Before I respond, I almost fell off my chair because I thought the report was saying he may be facing, General Masemola may be facing arrest. Mm-hmm. Is it confirmed that he has been taken in?
Judging by our news reports coming in, it seems like it's been confirmed that he's been taken in. But of course, our producers will be making sure that we stay online with the exact nature of the matter.
Yeah, no, that would be a very sad day, because what it all does, it just shows the depth of the rot within the system itself. Yeah. But it is encouraging to see that there is movement to ensure that there's action taken even against senior police officers. I can imagine what it does to the morale of the ordinary police officials within the system when you see your senior officials being fingered for corruption, malfeasance, or whatever it is that they are facing. And it is worrisome if you consider that crime intelligence has been the bane of, the problematic area within the policing system. And most of the problems in terms of policing are actually go back to the fact that we don't have a strong crime intelligence unit. And that is why, and I think going back to the days of Richard Nduli and others, we know that there's always been a problem area. So when you see police officials arrested or being investigated for corruption, it is quite a worrisome situation.
Now, I've just gotten in my ear that point about Fani Masemola is that, yes, it's still pending, still under investigation, and we will confirm if there are any updates on that particular matter in terms of Fani Masemola. And you are absolutely right. One of the things that we do want to check in on is how far do we trust that these are not mere factional battles, and that the custodians of law and order will do the right thing regardless who's in the dock?
Look, I do not hold a brief for Minister Senzo Mchunu. Yeah. But I think Minister Mchunu is on the right track. And for the first time in my adult life, I can vouch for a minister in the policing system, because I believe that Minister Mchunu is out to ensure that all the bad apples within the system are taken out. In fact, if I may, on Friday I spent 5 hours at the Alexandra police station with police officials, all ranks, of the policing system. It heartens me when I see and meet such dedicated, diligent individuals working hard to make sure that they actually get to the bottom of crime, to make sure that we live in a safe society, and trying to say, how can we improve the system and make sure that it works not only for communities in Alexandria, but also for communities in general. Yes. So when you hear news such as the arrest of General Dumisani Khumalo and many others, I can imagine how it pains them to actually work within a system where you have to look on your back to say who else may be trying to sabotage or to sell us out to the criminal world out there. But we are grateful for the action taken by the IDEC itself, which has shown that they will they've shown some zeal, that they'll act without fear or favor in ensuring that those who need to account for wrongdoing, irrespective of how high they are, how high up the echelon they are, actually get to be taken to account. In fact, it reminds me, if you recall, then National Commissioner Begicele, who was actually fired or removed from his position for something similar to what we believe General Fani Masemola is now being accused of, corruption in terms of procurement,
yes.
Leases and buildings and all this. It is worrisome that we don't seem to learn, if indeed it is confirmed that General Masemola will be facing that. It is quite worrisome that we seem not to be learning or not making any strides. But we believe that Minister Mchunu will be able to get to the bottom of the rot that is within the system.
Well, it is very interesting that you take the conversation to that point, because it does seem to be becoming endemic, because this is not the first time that a top cop at SAPS is under a cloud in terms of their behavior or misappropriation or using funds inappropriately. Do you really believe that we are on the cusp of a turning point in terms of how it is at ministerial level? We are then able to really root out the problem?
In fact, more than ever before, I think I'm confident. I'm currently confident from what I've seen, because we've taken in to actually extend a hand to the police themselves. Say, is there anything that we as civil society and even business themselves, how can we do to assist? Because there's limited resources. The budgets are actually cut, or in some instances abused, as we've seen with the crime intelligence. There's a lot of corruption within the system.
Mr. Kass, I'm going to stop and just ask you quickly, what's different now to previous ministerial engagements in SAPS that you would say is actually making you say that?
We've seen less talk. In fact, there's more action. And I think most of the action is actually happening behind the scenes, where not only are there plans and announcements. You must have seen during the policing summit a few months ago, there were announcements made that they would like to modernize policing. They want to use technology, embrace AI, automated fingerprint systems, and so forth. We've seen that happen. Now it's actually happening than more talk. Yeah, unlike the previous ministry, where you would be more like somebody who's more keen to just go to do a TV shows. We've seen a minister who really works, and not only the minister, and the officials themselves seem to be taking a cue from the minister, who seems to be saying we want to see things done and less talk and more action.
Now, with that, I'd want to ask you something in particular. The Whistleblowers Matter, an initiative that I believe you're also part of. Can you tell us a little bit about how whistleblowing and how it's actually engaged within SAPS? How that helps the matter?
Policing is an all of society effort. We cannot leave it just for policing to attend to every little thing, because police cannot be everywhere. But you and I would perhaps know somebody who's doing something wrong.
Yes.
And it behoves us as members of society to raise our hand and stop criminality within our element, because sometimes we say it doesn't affect me, or if somebody else connects illegally on a transformer, tells Eskom transformer, say, it's none of my problem. But when a child gets to be affected, maybe exposed to wires that are illegally connected, or even the transformer bursts, a community gets to be affected, it will affect us. So what we're saying is that we must be the ear and eye for police to be able to raise those things and push back against crime, because complaining is one thing, but doing something about it in a small way, we can be able to do more.
We've got a few seconds left before we need to move on with the news. How does one get in touch with Whistleblower Matters? How does one report?
Whistleblower Matters is basically just an umbrella to talk about the Whistleblower Summit and the Whistleblower Awards that we're still going to announce imminently, but it's going to be held again in October, as we've done. This is the third year that we'll be having both the awards and the summit.
Deepen Kass, thank you so much for joining us. That was Deepen Kass from Public Interest South Africa, speaking to us about the latest happenings in SAPS, malfeasance and potential misuse of funds. Now, still to come.